are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 641. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
Good. Jay, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. You have to tell the truth. You going to tell the truth, Jay?
Yes.
Is RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is he talking about you becoming his vice presidential candidate?
For those of you who don't listen to our comedy podcast, The Brink of Sanity, I ran for president in 2016, and the New York Post did an article. Robert F. Kennedy has not asked me yet, but I am ready and willing should he need a running mate.
RFK has now spoken to Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota. He's spoken to Aaron Rodgers, current QB of the Jets. I don't know why I said Knicks. Clearly, Jay is next in line. If those two people say no, so Jay may have to leave the show to run our country. Or vice president means sitting there while someone else runs the country.
I could probably still do the podcast.
I don't know why Kamala Harris doesn't come onto the show. Like, what is she doing these days?
Right, exactly.
Wouldn't it be great if she had a podcast that was totally unrelated to like the country? She's just like a podcast on knitting.
That would be so funny if somebody had a high-level position like that and just refused to acknowledge anything related to it. Yeah, that would be.
Or
really
people ask you, don't you have more important things to do? And she'd be like, no, I really don't.
What are you talking about?
Okay, Jay. So we have some topics to cover today.
Yep.
Starting with, is OG the Messiah?
Mm-hmm.
How did the Knicks front office get Tibbs not to play OG 48 minutes last night? Can the Knicks win in the playoffs if Randle doesn't return?
Mm-hmm.
Can Josh Hart solve world hunger and global warming while doing just about everything on the basketball court? What happens to my precious when Mitch returns? And should the Knicks have a seance to expel the Detroit Piston demons that are clearly haunting Burks and Bogdanovich?
All right. That's a full
Bunch of
lineup for
topics.
today.
Yes. How you doing, Jay? How you feeling, Jay?
I mean, they're starting to get healthy. Like, it's happening. Like, it sounds like the Knicks could have a full squad by the end of this month. And we just got a taste of an almost healthy team yesterday. And, oh, my God. Like,
I mean, what a difference the two games thing that they played Philly back-to-back. Had one game, 79-73, where the Knicks just jacked up a lot of threes, missed a lot of shots. It was the ugliest game possible. Then they get OG back, and they beat the crap out of Philly.
I get, and Philly had Maxey back for the second game. So
Yes, yeah.
It is weird how I expect the defense to look better with OG back, but it looked like a different offensive team too, which is like, why did the offense look that much better? It was interesting.
I didn't even notice this until you set to when you mentioned Maxey being back. It's crazy because on like a Sunday, they lose to Philly 79-73. Philly scores 79 points. Then last night, Tuesday, Philly also scores 79 points with Maxey back. They couldn't get any more points because OG is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love Randle, and this is not besmirching him or Mitch, but OG is the most important guy to get back.
So he only played 29 minutes last night. That's a good sign.
Well, they also were crushing them, so like Tibbs didn't have to he fought his urge to overplay him because the dude
he still
they were up by
overplayed.
a lot.
Still overplayed Hart.
Oh, you think? I didn't look at Hart's minutes from last night's
39.
Can I see if I can guess it?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna guess. Okay. 52.
Yeah, he played.
What did he play? 45.
39.
39. Oh, okay. That's actually lower than I thought. I mean, he did say he got pulled at the end of the game, and Hart said I had 18 rebounds. I really wanted 20. I wanted to stay in there.
Another triple double.
Yeah, no one. I have to say, of all the players, the player that looks least bothered by playing these minutes is Hart. He's
Yeah.
insane.
He doesn't even
insane
look
shape.
winded half the time.
No, like when you're like, I guess I should take him off the court, but he really looks like he has full energy 40 minutes of the game.
Also, he pulled Hart, and then Bogdanovich went 0 for 2 and looked like he was just completely done. To the point where Tibbs didn't even put him in the second half.
I
And
thought Bogdanovich came in the second half. He did play in the second
did he?
half.
What did he do?
Briefly.
Very briefly. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Bogdanovich, is it that like Bogdanovich and Brooks are not like, I guess I feel like there's Detroit Piston shape and New York Knicks shape.
Could
And
be.
they may not be in New York Knicks shape.
Could be because they're not playing good at all. I mean, Bogdanovich had 0 points. He was averaging 20 points a game in Detroit, and he had 0 last night.
He seems to have no idea how to get open, or to dribble the basketball. He rushes shot. He seems the fit is not there yet.
On the
And then
other
maybe
hand,
the fit,
if Randle comes back, he's not going to have to try and get open. He's going to be open.
right? I know we've been saying that he will look a lot better when guys are back, but like, I don't know. I mean, OG was back last night. OG looked amazing. But the offense looked. They had like what 30 assists last night. The offense, the ball was moving.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why he could not have gotten open.
The ball movement was beautiful last night. I think at one point they had 23 assists on 27 field goals or something. It was like almost every shot. It was amazing.
Yeah, there was and the ball movement probably will go down a little bit when Randall gets back, and the team needs Randall back, obviously. Yeah, the ball was just flying around the court. The Knicks were cutting.
I mean,
do
that
you wanna
one
focus
month where the Knicks had Randall and OG, Randall wasn't doing nearly as much of the ISO stuff anyway. He was doing he was passing a lot more. I think it was more he just didn't trust the Elfrid Paytons of the world. So he was a little more ball hoggy with that supporting cast because he was averaging a lot of assists with this current roster.
Well, that role was kind of, I mean, not to go through a Randall history, but that role, like, this was Randall's first time being like the big money guy, and like he thought he had to like run the offense.
Yeah, well, he did
Plus,
actually.
I mean, Fizz was like, "You're the point guard,"
Yeah.
and like there wasn't great options when Tibbs first got here. So, like, especially when Brunson got here, he was like, "Now I have a guy who not only do I trust, like I know this guy is like, amazing on offense."
Yeah.
And you've added a lot more good players, obviously, on top of that.
So Randall was supposed to come back before OG, and we still don't know. He's ramping up, but there's still no timetable, which is
He's doing
kind of worrying.
Everything non-contact.
Which is great that he's at that point, but he could still be like weeks away. We don't know.
So there's a decent chance he's not back.
You mean
I
at
think
all?
there's a chance that like they're not like yeah, I think there's a decent chance that like I mean, obviously he can get better and get on the court. Maybe like a 20% possibility he doesn't play the rest of the season.
I hope that's not the case. I really want to see this team. This team fully healthy is going places.
Yeah. Well, you think also like there was one of the reporters one of the New York reporters, I forget who, pointed out, maybe it's Stefan Bondi, I forget who it was, that guys with this injury, separated shoulder injury, following season, all their numbers were down. Generally speaking, like this really, and it's non-shooting hand, sorry, non-shooting shoulder, but like, I guess he's off every year in the playoffs anyway. So what's the difference?
It's from what I heard, it's going to be how much pain can he tolerate.
Yeah, that's what they're saying, which also just makes your shot's never going to be as good, even if it's your offhand. Like, if you're in pain half the time, and he probably will not play 40 minutes. There's a decent chance he plays more like 20 to 25 minutes when he's back. Like, they just limit him anyway because they're like, we'd rather have 20 minutes of him than have 0 minutes of him.
Still a huge upgrade over whoever else would be playing.
Well, Precious would be the guy like in the power forward spot.
I mean, Precious would still be playing 20 minutes a game, if not more, depending on the center situation.
I mean, Precious, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of big questions about when these guys come back. if you have like someone was asking online, like on Twitter, if everyone's back healthy, what Precious is awesome, but like, does he get any minutes? I think if Precious gets no minutes, that means everyone's healthy and we're living a dream scenario.
I still
But
think he gets minutes.
well, really, if everyone's healthy, how would he get minutes? Like usually Mitch and Hart are the center minutes.
Yeah.
Randle, you're right. Like Randle would play 35 minutes basically if he's fully healthy. Fully healthy.
Yeah. Precious plays like 13.
Yeah, maybe. But also like working in minutes for Josh Hart.
Yeah,
I
you have
think
OG Hart. You have Brunson, Deuce, and then you have Dante and whoever.
You have Dante and Hart. Hart would take minutes from like from the two through four.
Yeah, and I guess you could have spot minutes for Bogdanovich or Burks if you want.
Stop it.
Then that's a 9-man rotation, so you don't play Dante or Burks.
Stop.
I mean,
Burks is not playing.
Burks or Boggs.
It's fine if you want to say Bogdanovich is going to play. You have to shut your mouth if you're going to talk about Burks playing.
Yeah, I don't
We
think he's
have to
going.
get to the point.
I don't think he's
Please.
going to. With a 9-man rotation, Boggs and Burks are both out.
If all the Knicks are dead except for McBride and Burks, I still would just play McBride and leave Burks on the bench. He is. I don't under. It's Burks is like a shell of himself. I don't. He
Yeah.
wasn't this bad when he was a Knick. What is going on with him?
I don't know. He's I mean, it's still a pretty small sample size, so you can.
He wasn't
Kinda.
shooting well in Detroit to begin with.
He wasn't.
He was. I mean, he's shooting well from three, but his like field goal percentage was pretty low.
Oh, yeah, but he was shooting like 40% from three.
Yeah, he was shooting through 40. But
Well, now isn't he shooting like 25? Like,
I 25% means he's hit a shot, and I've yet to see him hit a shot.
I just.
He seems to be jacking shots up also just like you're like, he's not going to pass the ball here. He's going to jack. Oh, he jacked something up. Oh, terrible shot. Great.
Yeah,
And
it's still a small sample size. Like,
it is.
You don't
I
play
mean, in
good
the small
for-
sample size, RJ is the greatest shooter like on earth in Toronto. He's been like awesome.
He's been very, very good. But I think a lot of people who watched him for 5 years will be a
I'm
little
not trying to bash
skeptical.
RJ.
I'm not either. I'm just saying, like, if you watched him for 5 years, you'd be a little skeptical that he's going to keep shooting like this. And conversely, if you watch Burks all these years, you'd be a little skeptical that he all of a sudden is washed up and is going to shoot like crap the rest of the time.
Right. I mean, also when you get older, you're not as fast in terms of like keeping up with guys and so forth. But like,
He's
shooters usually can shoot.
Yeah, that's usually the last thing to go.
Like he's also like 33. His vision's not going. Like he can still see.
Yeah, I mean, 33 is not. He's, I think he's still 32. That's like not old enough to be like, yeah, he's like, should be washed up. Like,
Yeah.
he wasn't
I
washed
don't-
up a month ago, and now he looks washed up. I think it's just he seems to be playing like he wants to prove how good he is instead of just playing naturally in the flow of the game.
Yeah, I mean, so Bogdanovich looks tired a bit on the court. And maybe he wasn't as in good shape as he should have been, basically in Detroit. And Burks doesn't necessarily look tired on the court. He just doesn't look good. He also is playing like more limited minutes. Maybe the pressure is just like we're on a good team now. We really need to contribute, and they're like just trying too hard.
I mean, I think that's legitimate. I mean, I could see that happening. For me, like going into a new situation, I'd be a little nervous and maybe make some mistakes I normally wouldn't at first.
I mean, not for a ton of minutes, but are you surprised Tibbs hasn't just said like, "Hey, Shake Milton, you can't be worse than Burks."
I am, but Burks hasn't exactly been playing a ton of minutes lately. I think he's ramping Burks down.
I'm ramping him back to Detroit. Tibbs, I guess, has the history with Burks, so he probably trusts him more also. Is like, hey, this guy's not this bad.
Yeah, I don't know Shake's defense, but Tibbs has mentioned he likes Burks' defense.
Okay, so I guess like Burks will start shooting better and we'll see some of that defense.
Yeah, I haven't seen the defense either. Tibbs says he loves it, so okay.
I'm watching Burks play, and he was one of our better options a few years ago when the Knicks like with the fourth seed.
He was
And,
like
how
the second best option on offense for a
no,
season.
Derrick Rose was second, but Rose was second, he was third, Burks.
Okay.
Okay, whatever. Either way, you're watching it being like, how the hell did they win? Like, how did they win any games with Burks like one of their top players?
Right. Right. Or Rose too. I mean, no knock on Rose, but that version of Rose should not be one of your top players.
No, I mean he was really good. I mean, he got washed up real fast also.
Yeah.
He played when he was that 1 year, he was really good on the court. At
He
least
was.
on offense.
He was.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a better team now, which is super fun. Just have to get healthy.
So when Mitch comes back, if say Mitch comes back by the end of the month, the Knicks still have like a month left before the playoffs.
Yeah.
I would either sit Hart and play Sims more or severely limit Hart's minutes. I think his Achilles is bothering him. I don't think he looks right. And I would rather him rest for the last month and be at full strength for the playoffs.
Well, last night they were playing Hart and Precious. They weren't playing Sims.
Yeah, I don't think they should do that. I think they should play more Sims because
Why?
Hart doesn't look right.
No, I meant you could just switch and play Mitch and play Precious. I meant Precious was going to be the other center.
Whatever you want to do, I just think Hart should be resting.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to like if Mitch is back, just shut Hart down for 2 weeks, give him extra rest before the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean that would be a legit idea.
Because
But then again, also you don't want to overplay. I think Precious.
Well, that's
has
why
been
I said
good.
Sims, because Precious is probably Randall's gonna be playing limited minutes when he gets back, and so you have Precious probably playing 20 minutes a game. So you have Sims come in for 20 minutes a game.
Why do you think, on a note about Precious, he was briefly in Miami, he was in Toronto, or why do you think why do you think he was why do you think Precious like could not find a role in the last two teams and now he looks awesome?
I think it's just roster construction. I don't think he would have had much of a role if Randall and OG didn't get injured, because I mean, he wasn't going to play over what the hell? Drawing a blank. The power
Randall?
forward they traded. No, in Toronto.
He wasn't going to play over Siakam.
Yeah,
He was going to play over Scotty Barnes.
Right. Yeah, he had Siakam and Barnes. Like, there were just not really many minutes for him in Toronto.
Yeah, it seems like he's like New York is the first place where he's lucked into minutes basically with with injuries, and it seems like he has to be so goddamn happy with how things are going. Like this is the first time he's had a real role in the NBA.
Yeah, and his minutes are going to go down a lot when the team's fully healthy, but I think he's played well enough where he should be getting at least 15 minutes off the bench.
Yeah, he's also a guy. Hopefully, like if the minutes go down a little bit, like he'll be signable. Like some other team won't try to. I mean, I guess the thing that hurts him is he's not a great outside shooter,
Right?
because he has all and like for being like a four in the NBA now needs to shoot outside. And he's more of an old school type player. And I guess that hurts. I would freaking love to have him back here on a reasonable contract next year.
Yeah,
I love his game.
So what did Obi play about 16 minutes a game when he was in New York? Precious could do the Obi role, but be better.
Better?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Obi's having a fine season for the Pacers.
Yeah, I just think Precious is better. That's all.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
not
do
a
love
knock. Obi seems like a nice guy. I just think Precious is better.
All the Obi stands for like, oh my God, how is he not playing 40 minutes a night? The Nick, this is a crime against nature what Tibbs is doing. How could he only play him 15 minutes a night? Now he's playing 18 minutes a night for the Pacers, and everyone's like, okay, that makes sense. I mean, the Pacers are doing him right. They gave him an extra 3 minutes.
People wanted to trade Randall and start Obi. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Obi is fine. He's a solid role player, like energy guy off the bench. That's his role. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not everyone the Knicks get rid of has to be a bad player. They could Cam Reddish is a bad player, but
IQ is
they could be
good.
good. good IQ's a really good player. They just it's the role basically. Someone said like they're like the Knicks like they dropped the ball with IQ, and I was like, did they really drop the ball with IQ? I mean, they just said Jalen Brunson's a better starting point guard, so and IQ wants to be a starting point guard, so we have to move on.
Right. Even if you're going to say he's going to play off the bench, he wants $25 million a year, maybe more.
Yeah.
Or you could have Deuce for 4. Not as good as IQ, but for that price difference, I like the Knicks aren't winning if Brunson's injured anyway, and having a guy like Deuce playing 15 minutes a game is great.
Yeah, I mean, also people say the dumbest. I mean, obviously people say the dumbest stuff online, but like someone made the argument that like, well, you gave up. RJ was averaging this many points, IQ was averaging this many points, and you got this many points a game back. And I was like, that's the dumbest. Like, it's not a fantasy basketball team. It's about fit. It's great that those guys are working out in the Raptors. OG is an amazing fit for what the Knicks are looking for.
Yeah, yeah. Also, it's just because you're averaging a certain amount on one team doesn't mean you're going to average it on the other team. Example A, Bogdanovich.
Example B, Burks.
Yeah, exactly.
We got some questions.
Yeah.
First question comes to us from on Facebook. Dan writes, "How confident are we that we can make the 2 or 3 seed with OG back? He really seems to allow everyone else, minus Pistons boys, to play their game. Devo doesn't have to jack up 23s. Hart gets to play the 3 with a more open court, allowing him to make better decisions. Brunson, same thing. And how about Achua? Kid is going to be something next year with a improved 3-point shot. I'm excited. Great show. Thanks. I'll hang up and listen." What do you think? What do you think, Jack?
I think that I don't think the 2 seed, just because I think they're still a little too banged up. When guys come back, they're going to be on kind of a minutes restriction.
Right now, they're 3.5 out of the Bucks at the 2, and they are 3 back of the Cavs at the 3, and only 1 game ahead of the Magic.
Yeah, I just think that we don't know when Randle's coming back. We don't know when Mitch is coming back. If they were coming back in the next week or 2, I would say yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think they're going to. It would be great if they did, but on the other hand, a 4th seed would be fine.
I think the 3 or the 4 with the Cavs, the opposite of us. Playing the Cavs first round would be the and I'll eat my words, but I think that's the matchup I want first round.
I mean, that would be Cavs are a good team, but it would be funny if the Knicks beat them back to back. But the only way for that to happen is them to fall to.
Oh, the 4 or 5. Yeah, never mind. 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't think the Cavs are going to fall to the 4 or 5.
Right, and right now at the 4, the Knicks play the Magic first round.
Totally fine with that.
Totally fine with that. I mean, really, you would like not to play the Celtics or the Bucks first round. Everyone else is fine for the first round.
Yeah.
Even the Sixers are fine because chances are Embiid is not going to be healthy by then.
Right. Pacers, bring it. I'd rather not see Miami just because they'll probably injure somebody on the Knicks. They seem
with a steel
like
chair.
Yes.
When the ref's not looking.
Yeah.
He used the chair. I don't even know how he came off the top rope. Where was the rope? Where did they pick up this rope?
Butler's like calling the ref's attention while Bam brings out the chair.
Yeah, exactly. It would just be professional. It would just be the biggest bullshit. Yeah, I would not love to play the Heat, just because of who they are. But I mean, even if you ended up playing, let's say you end up playing the Bucks first round, it is what it is. You have to get through all these teams anyway.
Yeah, but I don't see any scenario with the Bucks as a first round matchup.
Yeah, I mean, like people say, like you don't want to play the Celtics first round, and I kind of get. I mean, I get that. You'd rather see them be a little more banged up later in the playoffs, but you got to go through these teams anyway. You could also be more banged up when you play them. So
that is true.
But I obviously would not like to play the Celtics first round. That would be the ultimate not matchup you don't want. And chances are the Knicks are not going to fall to the 8th seed.
Right.
Or the OG should keep us out of the out of the play-in at the very least.
I think they're going to stay in that 4 spot.
4 or 5. I don't know. On the one hand, the schedule ahead, the Knicks should win a lot more games now that OG's back. They really should. I mean, the schedule. Let's see the schedule coming up. They got next 5. They got Portland, Sacramento, Golden State, Denver, and Brooklyn.
I mean, other than Denver, those are all winnable games.
Yeah, I mean, and the last time the Knicks played Denver, they beat the crap out of them. So
Yeah.
no, I think Denver will want some revenge, and it's in Denver, which is always tougher.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
And then, when you get to April, the Knicks could be fully healthy, in which case they might have another 17-2 run in them. Not that
yeah,
there'll be
the
that many
schedule-
games left, but
the April schedule. Here's the April schedule: Miami, winnable; Sacramento, winnable; Chicago, definitely should win; Milwaukee, Chicago again, should win. God damn it! How many times they play? They have Boston, then Brooklyn and Chicago. A bunch of winnable games. I thought they already played Boston 4 times this year.
they did. The play-in tournament gave the Knicks
Oh.
a 5th Boston game, but the NBA made up for it by giving the Knicks an extra Detroit game.
Yeah, okay. Didn't the Knicks play? The Knicks have an extra 5 games at Milwaukee again this season also.
No, I think it was 4, but I think they were front. I think 3 of them were beginning of the season.
Oh,
So there's
but
3.
it is the NBA program. Well, you play the Celtics one extra time, but you get to beat the Detroit Pistons one extra time also. It's not that's a trade off, I guess.
I guess. I mean, that only makes sense if you're a 500 team. It's a disadvantage if you're an above 500 team.
That's a fair point. Achua seems like a guy that will work about it. His point about the 3, Achua seems like a guy that will spend his offseason working on the 3 to get a lot better at that for next season.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see.
I don't
any
think he's
reason
going to be
why
Steph Curry, but I feel like he'll be a guy that can hit an open 3 in the future.
not. A guy where you're not cringing when he sets up for a shot. Even when he's standing out there, I'm like, don't even stand out there.
The other night he went 2 for 4 from 3, which shocked me. I don't want him doing threes, but it would be good if he can develop that part of the game. I just feel like maybe it would be better if he worked on it all off season instead of shooting it right now. Like the end of the Philly game on Sunday when they needed a 3 and Achua was the guy to shoot it, and you were like, don't pass him the ball when you need a 3.
Well, that's Tibbs' fault for even having him in there.
Right. I mean, I guess they should have had Bogdanovich out
He
there.
should have had Bogdanovich out there, yeah.
So Bogdanovich could have missed the 3 because he's been completely disappointing so far.
I would still rather
Yes.
have Bogdanovich shoot the 3 than Precious.
Yes, I agree. And Josh Hart has been amazing, but every once in a while you're like, you could have just taken that shot instead of passing.
If you have a clock stoppage and you need a score, you just put in all 5 offensive players. You don't play for
Yes.
defense.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not a Josh Hart, by the way, he's been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been what does he have? 9 triple doubles or something now?
Not
No,
9.
I don't know.
He's
He's
got 4
4
or 5.
Anyway, that's I think he had 0 coming into this season, so it's pretty awesome.
I mean, 20, 19, and 10 last night is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kazim writes, I'm going on vacation for a month to London and then further on into Europe. I'll be back when the finals start. What are the odds I come back and the Knicks are in the finals?
Give you 20% odds.
Okay. If we make a prediction and we're wrong, it doesn't matter. So I'll say 100%. Tom writes, where is Berman today?
He's making passive-aggressive remarks about RJ still.
He made a comment basically about OG missing 18 straight games, and look what RJ's doing. Look at the great stats he's putting up.
For those of you who don't know, Berman was a Knicks beat writer for years, and he was very negative on the Knicks, all the time. Never really said much positive about them. But now he's making RJ comments constantly, and it's like, I don't know, Toronto's 23-42, so not really a good bragging point that he's been on the court more for all those losses.
He's also missed a bunch of random games also, but yeah, like great. He put up some good numbers in a non-winning effort. The Raptors IQs look great. RJ's shooting so much better. The Raptors have been atrocious since the trade.
Yeah. Yeah, they've
and
been,
other things, I mean, like they obviously traded away Siakam and so forth, and Barnes is now injured, but like the team's not winning games, so it's not really where you want to brag.
right.
Also, why does Berman like it's he I've noticed that since he stopped reporting for the Knicks, a lot of passive aggressive like shots to the Knicks.
Instead of just fully aggressive.
Oh, whatever. He seems to be like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. Oh, like, and you're like, Berman, hey, you're a great reporter, but like, why the negative energy towards the Knicks? You covered the team for so long. If anything, you'd think he'd be rooting for them.
Right. I don't know. Some people make up their mind about a trade and just want to try and will it into existence. The Knicks are better off now. The Raptors are worse off now. That's it. That's the way it is. Like,
Yeah, there's this certain segment of the fan base also is like, look, it was a huge mistake to trade RJ, and you're like, I don't know. I know OG has been injured, but the team looks amazing with him on the court.
their ceiling is way higher now.
Yeah,
I don't know how you could even argue with that, to be honest.
right. That's the thing. Like you need to. It's about winning the title, not having like a guy like look pretty good for you, and
Like-
you always need to raise your ceiling. And like you're like OG's had some injury issues, but like if healthy, he helps make us a contender. RJ, if healthy, doesn't make us a contender.
No, I mean, just look at Sunday to Tuesday. The only difference was OG.
Yeah, and the other team added an all-star back with Tyrese Maxey, and Knicks crushed them.
Yeah, it's like, RJ's good, but he doesn't make that kind of an impact on win-loss.
It's amazing, like OG, like he's like you just like it's not like he's ever super aggressive on defense, but he kind of is at the same time. Like he'll just like a guy has the ball, he passes the ball, and suddenly the guy he passed the ball to is also being covered by a OG.
Yeah.
And like
It's like
also,
Nightcrawler out there.
Yeah, and it's also like so I love with Dante, he always has very active hands, trying to swipe the ball, trying to put some pressure on the defense. And now you have two guys, and OG does this also. Having two guys out there that does this, and Hart also does this.
Hart
also
does some of
out
that,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's a really like problem for the offense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not many easy baskets when those guys are out there.
Like you watch Bogdanovich, or even Burks, you're like, they're kind of staying in front of guys to a certain extent, but like they're never going to get a turnover. They're not going to put real pressure on the offense. At most, they're just going to kind of be there when the guy shoots the ball.
Well, you're also never going to have an opposing player with the ball look up, see them, and be like, I'm just going to pass the ball. I'm not even going to try and score, which does happen when OG's there. They're like, yeah, you know what? This isn't happening.
Right. I think at halftime, Tobias Harris, who's averaging like 17 points a game, and you think like with Embiid out would be one of their go-to scorers. I think through halftime did not have a shot yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like
I think he's
he had
averaging
no points.
18 a game, and yeah, he was scoreless for the first half.
Yeah. It's OG makes such a difference and elevates everyone on the court. It's ridiculous. And again, RJ and IQ's also playing awesome for Toronto. Great. And his shooting percentage, like if RJ was shooting, we should be grateful also. If RJ was shooting like this in New York, the Knicks never would have traded him.
Agreed.
I mean, not like a knock, and no knock against, but like having OG is such a great fit that the trade made so much sense. But it would have been hard to trade RJ if he was playing this well.
Yeah. Cobra says the Knicks are currently tailored perfectly. Agreed. They're too deep, legit at every position, and they have so many different looks they could put out. They could go small, they could go big. Like they have this roster is constructed better than any team I can remember, including the 90s teams.
By the way, the other factor for as far as the 2 seed or even the 3 seed, I think OG's going to sit some games. I think the guys that come back are not going to play like back-to-back nights.
Right. Yeah, I think everybody's going to be limited until like the week before the playoffs.
Right. Arthur writes, how many games should Randall play in the regular season to get him ready for the playoffs?
I mean, ideally, he would be like fully ramped up for 6 to 7 games. You think that's fair?
Basically 2 weeks of basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that would be a perfect, like, fully ramped up, getting ready for the first round of the playoffs. That would make sense.
Ideally, he would be back a week or two before that, playing limited minutes, and then fully ramped up for like 2 weeks.
I wonder how his like one of the things that Randall always brings is he's unbelievable shape for the regular season, and that's made him such a great player. I wonder how much and I know he's supposed to be working out. I wonder how much the shoulder injury has limited his ability to be like in great shape.
I mean, luckily it's an upper body injury, so he should be able to still get cardio in.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to hurt that part of his game as much. Mitch
Right,
might have more trouble, like just being out of breath in a short amount of time, not having been able to run for so long.
It's hard to replicate It's hard to replicate playing basketball shape.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, like just cardio enough is it's helpful, but not enough basically to be in like truly game shape. But
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm so excited to get these guys back. It'll be a dream seeing like Randall, Mitch, just seeing everyone healthy.
I'm so excited about seeing this team healthy. I mean,
I saw someone point out online, which I thought was just like they were like, do you realize that Mitch and OG have yet to share the court together? And I'm like, man, it's gonna be so much fun to watch these guys together.
the Knicks are going to be a problem. They're going to be a
Yeah.
problem.
I mean, a fully healthy Hart, a Mitch out there, like they are gonna be really, really good in the playoffs. This strange things can happen. This team could go on a run.
I mean, they went 17-2, and they didn't even have Mitch. Like, this could be something special.
Yeah, and and if anything, like DiVincenzo has developed more since then because his role increased. Precious obviously has just developed more because of the time, like the added playing time. And McBride has really stepped up his game and can just do a lot more now than he could. Like
Hart.
Yeah, all these guys really have expanded their roles also, which should make the team even deeper and more dangerous in the playoffs.
I mean, listen to what we just said. We're not scared of anybody except like Boston. Like,
yeah, I mean,
when was the last time you were not scared of 13 other teams in the conference?
I mean, this is the best this is the best I felt about the Knicks since the 90s. Easily.
Yeah, easy.
It's, by the way, McBride also, like, I know we and now we're all the show now is I love this guy, get healthy, I love this guy. But
It's
McBride
a very
is
likable team. I mean, everybody hustles. They have good personalities. They all get along. There's no, this guy showed up hungover and shot 2 for 18. Like,
it's McBride now has played 52 games, averaging 15 minutes a game, and obviously like more minutes as time's progressed. He's averaging 40% from 3. This is one of the things you would have said, like, until he develops a 3-point shot, like, he's not going to be that, like, even with his defense, he's got to be able to do something on offense. I mean, he can drive to the basket. Like, he can do a lot of stuff on offense besides play killer defense.
we were saying for years that he shoots really well in the G League. There's no reason it shouldn't translate to an NBA game eventually. Maybe it was a confidence thing. I don't know. But it's finally here, and he's like a guy where like you're excited when he's open at the baseline or something.
Well, they said when the OG trade happened, and they were like, "There's gonna be expanded role for McBride." They had said like he hasn't shown in the NBA, but they said like in practice, Tibbs says he does everthing in the practice. Like it's going to translate. It just hasn't yet.
Yeah, they had confidence.
Nice to have faith in the guy.
They gave him that long-term contract. They knew it was going to come eventually.
Huge contract in NBA terms.
Whatever, it was long-term. I mean,
yeah, I mean they 3-year deal. He's not like getting huge money from the NBA, but like hey, whatever. It's working out. Like he has a role now going forward. He can develop. His next contract could be a bigger contract.
Yeah.
Um,
So, anything else? Is that all the questions?
that's all the questions.
If you want to
It's
email
fun.
us, nynixpodcast@gmail.com. We are nynixpodcast on Patreon, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter/X. Predictions for the next 5 games.
I was going to say, we've been very positive. What things outside of injuries? What things? Give us some negative. Is there a couple negatives? Things that still drive you crazy,
Well, I mean,
or things that concern you right now?
things that concern me is that sometimes the offense just looks very like struggling to get baskets, and OG should not be that important to the offensive end of the court to where like they look like they can't even get a basket. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he is one more guy that can shoot threes. He cuts the basket. He does a lot on the. He
OG's
does
good
a
on
lot of
offense. I'm just saying, like, he's good. He's not like our offense crumbles when he's not there. Like, it shouldn't be like that. So that's a little concerning. I know Randle's coming back, and with Randle out there, I don't think the offense is going to struggle. But right now, the offense has looked a little sketchy.
You're right. Hart has not been, and he's a little more limited. He's not been the Hart that like looked like he was going to be the like.
Well, you said
taking over.
non-injury related, and I think his Achilles is still the reason for that.
Yeah. Josh Hart, whose role has increased dramatically, and he's been awesome. I just sometimes when the Knicks need baskets, I wish he would just be a little more alpha and like just take the three and like don't pass the ball. Sometimes he passes too much a little bit. We already bashed Bogdanovich and Burks.
And Precious's 3-point shooting. I can't believe we're actually like trying to find something negative. After all these years of like struggling to find something positive, now we're struggling to find a negative.
Yeah, you could say Tibbs like it's still like the other night basically not putting out 5 shooters. McBride at times needs to be more aggressive attacking the rim because he can.
I think Tibbs gets more out of his players than most coaches do, but I also think he's very uncreative as far as playmaking and I guess strategy-wise, like I feel like the reason I wouldn't want to play Miami is even though I think the Knicks have a way better team, I think Spo is just like a wizard with that kind of stuff, and I just think he's just better than Tibbs.
If you've been listening to Josh, and you should be listening to Brunson and Josh Hart's podcast, which is crazy. They have a podcast. Brunson, I think it was last week's episode, was just talking about like Tibbs, and it was like there is no coach ever there's no one as prepared as he is. He's unbelievably prepared for every game.
Okay, I mean they would know better than me.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
going
I mean,
by the eye
I'm not like
test.
arguing. I'm just saying like forgetting like he prepares. He goes. He is an insane workaholic. Basically, is what it comes down to. Which is kind of what you want out of your coach, someone that like is as unbelievably dedicated trying to win.
Yeah.
There was, remember, I think it was Brunson had said, like he was going to the All-Star break in Indiana, and like Tibbs called him to go over stuff from the game before, and he's like, we don't need to go over this stuff right now. And Tibbs like, I have some notes I just want to give to you.
You gotta love Tibbs. I mean, like 25 points up, the Knicks make one mistake, and he's like just furious. It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, like, no, there's no perfect coach, but you kind of want someone who's obsessed with the team winning.
Yeah, I mean, there's many, many, many worse coaches in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of there are like coaches that you like. Everyone's into their job and they try really hard. You imagine some coaches are like, oh, it's like I got a break. Like, let me watch a movie. Let me get some drinks. Let me do some other stuff and like take my mind off of this. Then I'll get back to it. I don't think Tibbs does anything unrelated, like anything that involved. I don't think he has any fun.
Right.
I think his entire life is about doing the best he can do with the Knicks.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Exactly. All right, predictions for the next 5 games, and then we'll get out of here.
I think we just did that, but did we do that earlier? We just said Portland, win against Portland, win against Sacramento, win against Golden State, lose to Denver, win against Brooklyn.
Okay, fair. I agree.
Okay.
I
You,
mean,
you want to disagree about Denver?
no. I mean, Denver is
It's
a really,
fourth
really
game
good team.
of a West Coast road trip.
Exactly.
Playing in the thin air of the Mile High City. That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's definitely a tough one. And you're right; they're going to be mad about last time.
Yeah. Okay, we will be back next week with more awesome Nick content and more maybe prediction Mitch or Randall, who's back by next week.
I don't think either are back by next week.
Well, you're just a very pessimistic jackass.
Fine. Mitch.
Okay. You're supposed to pick one. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jay.
Mitch. Who do you think?
Both.
Both.
Let's see who's right.
All right. There we go. So, yeah, we'll be back next week. We're recording on Wednesday again?
Oh, sure.
Okay. We do the shows live too. youtube.com/@NYNixPodcast. We're also on Twitch, Crumpled Bacon on Twitch. And we stream live through the Facebook and Twitter apps. So follow us there, like and subscribe, and we will see you next week. If you.
Yes, and if people write in, Jay said he will start a Knicks Pinterest page.
As soon as I figure out what the hell Pinterest is. I think I'm going to go to my grave not knowing what Pinterest is.
Okay, I'll put a picture of your grave on Pinterest.
Bye, bye, love.